In life, we all encounter obstacles, and those obstacles come in all different shapes, sizes, and forms. The question is, how do we handle those obstacles? Do we attack them head on, or do we allow them to make us quit? Welcome to the No Quit Living podcast, where we aim to motivate and inspire listeners to never give up on themselves, their dreams, or their goals. We will interview successful people from all walks of life as they share their no-quit stories when they had the choice to give up or give in, but they didn't. We thank you for listening, and we hope to be that jolt of positivity as you go for your greatness. Welcome to episode number 227 of the No Quit Living podcast. I'm your host, Christopher J. Worth, and today's theme of the day is turning a challenge into an opportunity. Our quote of the day comes to us from Roy T. Bennett. Turn your obstacles into opportunities and your problems into possibilities. Today's episode is sponsored by Con. Your journey is your story. Con is a lifestyle jewelry brand that simply exists to embody your unique personal journey and remind you that no matter how difficult life can be, anything is possible. Be the dream, be the change with Con. Follow at ConLife, QAN, and support the mission at conlife.com, QANLIFE.com. It really is an honor to bring you today's episode. Our guest was hit with quite a challenging medical scare that derailed her both personally and professionally for over 3 months. Lori Gildea took that challenge and turned it into a positive, as today she is leading a successful business that is also making a difference in the lives of others. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Lori, I'd like to welcome you to the No Quit Living podcast.
Thanks, Chris. Excited to be here with you.
I appreciate it. So the first question we ask everybody is, are you ready to bring it today?
I am ready. Bring it on.
So you have a very unique no-quit story yourself, where you took something that was challenging and had obviously its obstacles, and you turned it into something pretty cool, and you're paying it forward in your own way. So I wanted to just ask if you wouldn't mind just telling our listeners a little bit about that story.
Sure, Chris. Be happy to share that with you. I learned firsthand the danger of gym germs in the public domain. Other than a cold, I had never been sick in my life until the fall of 2016. So what happened? I had a career in pharmaceuticals, and my last role was chief commercial officer for our biotech startup. I was working crazy hours. I think we all know what that's like. And I had not been to the gym in months. And I knew I had a week coming up where I was working from home, and I was just determined that I was going to get back to the gym. So I went, and of course, days later, I was sore. But within a week, my body swelled up. And what was really odd is that the symptoms accelerated quickly, and each day it got worse, to the point where soon I wasn't even able to feed myself, shower, or get dressed. I couldn't work on my computer, and I could barely use a phone, and I was in severe pain. So I employed my friends, thank God for friends, and they helped get me to a host of specialty physicians. And I went to testing. I had MRIs, blood work, but nobody was able to diagnose the issue. What they did know is my muscle enzymes were critically high, and I was at risk of kidney failure. But without a diagnosis, I was left untreated, and I kept falling deeper into a black hole. Back to my job, my company, as I said, was a startup, and I was leading the commercial charge. So they needed me back, and obviously I was not able to work. So we agreed that they needed to do what they needed to do, and I needed to focus on my health. So finally, after literally almost 2.5 months, I found a neuromuscular physician who was able to at least get me treatment. So I was hooked up to IV for about a week in my home. And thank God it kicked out the infection. And I was finally able to walk and move, and the pain started to dissipate. But I needed to go to PT, obviously. When I started to feel better, I really wanted to understand what happened. And although it's not an exact science, my doctors have reason to believe I brought germs home from the gym, never, ever thinking about it. I'm very cognizant as far as being very diligent. I shower when I get home. I throw my clothes in the laundry, but never in a million years thought that my bag could track germs into my home and bedroom, which would in turn infect me. And lo and behold, I had this illness for over 3 months and then another 2 months of therapy. So long story short, I learned a lot from this experience. It really brought me to where I am today, because when I got back to health, I wanted to make sure I never dealt with this again, as you can imagine. And so I went online. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy an antimicrobial bag. Then this is a done deal. I couldn't find one. So I decided to make my own. And I took it to the gym. People loved it. They loved the color. But when I explained the true value of what this bag represented and the protection it provided, I was encouraged to market it and sell it to others. So that's how the Pure Bag was born. And that's my story.
I think we all have amazing stories. We all have challenging stories. But I think the thing that really resonates with me personally, hopefully our No Quit tribe, is the idea that you took something that happened to you. And I think we all have those different challenges. Some obviously are more difficult than others. But at the end of that challenge or obstacle, we have one of two choices. We have the first choice, which is to, in essence, wallow in your pity and the woe is me. Or the second, which you did, is to do something about it. And I think the coolest part about your company and about your story is that you took something that happened to you and you decided to design a bag, and then people caught on initially with the color, but then once they realized what it is, and now you have your company. So I wanted to just ask if you wouldn't mind just telling our listeners a little bit about who you are, what you're doing with the company today.
Absolutely. Well, after that experience, as you can imagine, I felt very compelled, as I shared, to take a cleaner and safer approach to fitness. And that's how, like I said, the Pure Bag was born. And it is a joint venture with my daughter, who is helping me out. She's a yoga instructor out in Denver, Colorado. But the Pure Bag offers, like I said, high quality, innovative products. They're bags and accessories for fitness. And it's for people who want to protect themselves from germ exposure, whether it's before, during, or after their workouts. And the cool thing about our product is it's made with this healthcare grade material, something you would find literally in a hospital or a clinic, because it has embedded silver ion technology. And that's embedded technology is what activates when it detects the moisture from bacteria, fungus, mold, mildew, and even viruses, breaks it down, and therefore keeps the exterior as well as the interior of the bag and its contents clean and free of not only germs but odor. So that's what we're doing now. We're trying to pay it forward, as you said, because what I realized after going through this is I was not alone. I thought I had the most severe case out there, but I've actually learned there are people with very similar situations as mine, and some not as major. Some are just simply, and I don't mean to undermine it, but a fungal infection, or it could be a staph infection, which in and of itself can be very, very difficult, because I ran into this one woman. She had a fungal infection in her legs for a year, and it took that long to go away. And something as simple as this bag could help prevent that. So I feel good about what we're doing and helping others to keep healthy and safe while they're doing activities to be healthy. For example, going to the gym, or just simply it could be going to work or traveling or every day.
I think it's important that you're paying it forward. And like you said, it's not just for people that go to the gym. So for any listeners that maybe do not go to the gym and you do travel or you go to work, whether it's a plane, a train, a bus, we'd love for you to check out Lori's company. So follow up to that is, what's the best way for people to find out not only more about your company, but where can they find out the actual bags and where can they buy them?
Thanks for asking, Chris. We have a website. We're online at www.thepurebag, all one word, .com. So it's thepurebag.com. We're also on Instagram at the same, at thepurebag. And by the way, we're really proud of this. All of our materials are sourced in the United States, and they're all manufactured and sewn in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. So they're all U.S. based, so we can make sure that the integrity and quality is top notch.
I think that is so awesome. I think that's so cool. And I'm a big fan myself of the show, The Shark Tank. And I always like when companies come out and they ask for money and the sharks talk about taking things overseas and saving costs. And I think it's really neat when some of the companies say, I know we could save money, or I know we could produce these a lot cheaper, but I want to make sure that they maintain their presence here in the United States. So kudos to you for that. One question I wanted to ask you, for any of our listeners that are out there that are thinking about starting something or doing something, and maybe it doesn't have to be something as serious or as entrepreneurial as starting a business or launching a business, but what is it that took you from that idea or concept where you thought it could do well, or you thought it had something, into actually going ahead and doing it? What was that breaking point for you where it went from maybe I'm not sure to actually going ahead and doing it?
Well, Chris, that's a really good question because there's so many elements that come into play for that. I will tell you, my first activity was to approach a patent attorney. It was alum from my college, and just wanted to see if I do go forward with this and make the investment if it has legs. And we researched it for almost 2 months, and in fact, I got a green light at the end. So that was my initial check to see, is this something viable to go forward? But after that, it was this feeling of and desire and interest in doing something to pay it forward and give it back, because I've been very fortunate in my career in pharma to work with a lot of great people, and in the end, we're helping patients. This is kind of an extension of that in the sense that I'm providing something that is not out there in the market right now. There is a gap, and something that a lot of people aren't aware of. So I feel like I'm providing education as well. And even if someone doesn't purchase our products or use our bags, that's okay. If we're educating them and helping them be more aware of their environment and what they do, that's the value. And that's what really inspires me to do this and to take the step and move forward.
I love that, and I think that's so neat how you touch on the fact that even if somebody doesn't purchase one of your bags or one of your accessories, they're actually becoming more educated what's out there. And I think that's the fundamental piece of the whole idea of paying it forward is doing something for somebody else with zero expectations in return. So I think that's remarkable how you do that. I wanted to get your perspective on what success looks like, or what success means to you.
Success, I think, really is dependent on how we, just to my previous point, how we're helping people. A lot of people look at the bottom line with the monetary aspects, and sure, that's certainly a key element in business. It's a necessary piece, and it's good to have. But beyond that, success is, are we helping people? Are we getting feedback that this has made a difference? Am I hearing stories of, I have this comprised system, and I have to be really careful with everything I do. Now, with this knowledge or with using your product, it's really empowered me to be able to go out and not feel, I feel protected. I'm not feeling like I'm at risk. And that, to me, that success in making a difference in someone's life is so important. And I think that's what defines it for me, that we're really touching others and really making a positive impact.
I think that's great. And if you had to define yourself, but you could only use one word, Lori, what word would you choose?
I would say optimistic. There's a lot of words I would like to use, but optimistic is probably the best one, because I always look at what can be, not what can't be. And that's what keeps me moving forward, because I see how this can be. I can see how this business can help others. I can see how our products can educate. I can see how it can make a difference. And that is my end goal. If I keep that in the forefront, everything else drives to that and keeps me moving forward.
No, I think that's so important. And I think a lot of companies and people just in general in life kind of forget that end result and where they're going for. And I think you can lose your way along the way. So I'm glad that you touched on that. And I was curious, one of the things we focus on with our show is the importance of either a morning or a daily routine. And I was curious if you yourself have a morning routine that you swear by.
Well, Chris, as you probably know, every day is different. So it depends on my schedule for the day. But the one thing that is pretty hard and fast is morning coffee. So it's getting going. And I have 2 rescue furry children, my little fur babies that sit with me every morning as I'm having coffee. So it's a nice way to start the day. And then it's get up and move. So depending on what I'm doing that day, if I can get a quick run in, great. A walk, stretch, whatever I can do just to get the blood flowing first thing in the morning, that really sets a great tone for my day.
I think it's so important. And I love this question because I get all different ideas. I got all different routines. And I think what I've realized over the past many months is it's not the importance of doing a morning routine perfect. And I think when I first started asking the question, I was kind of under the guidelines that every single morning is exactly the same, and you can get up and get to the gym at 5:01 and have your breakfast at 6:26. And what I've realized over the last few weeks is it's actually the opposite. It's the importance of no matter what you're doing, whether you're traveling for business, early meetings, kids, spouses, we all don't have the ability to plan out every single day how we want to, but we all have the ability to plan out a portion of the day. So for those people that like to work out for 2 hours, but maybe they can't on the road when they're traveling for business or pleasure, maybe it's a 20-minute workout, and it's not the quote unquote exact same thing, but it's starting your morning how you want to and going into it. And a couple of guests have talked about walking into the morning, with the idea and the concept of being proactive as opposed to reactive. So I'm glad you touched on that. Maybe a difficult question to ask you, but I was curious, best advice you've ever received.
The best advice I can think of. Actually, I have to break it down to two. So I look back to two of my former bosses who were amazing. And the first one gave us the advice and said to me, keep your knees bent, which was great advice because life throws a lot of curveballs at you. And you just have to keep your knees bent and go with the flow and find a way to work through it, not let it stop you. So that was so key. The other piece of advice was from another boss that I just adored. And his advice was preserve yourself, because too many times we just push ourselves so much and so hard that we don't take care of ourselves. And then how can we take care of others? So I really couldn't say one or the other. I think they actually work in tandem. And I really am fortunate to work for these two gentlemen and value this advice that I was given years and years ago and still live it to this day.
No, I think it's definitely great advice. And I want to follow that up with, if you could go back and give your 20-year-old version of yourself just one piece of advice, knowing what you know now, what would you say to yourself?
Don't be afraid. Believe in yourself. Go for it. Too many times I would question or have self-doubt and be unsure. And when I look back, it's just, just go for it. Follow your gut. You have these intuitions for a reason. You have this gut read for a reason. Go for it.
I love it. Great advice. And if I had the ability to give you an opportunity to have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who would you pick and why?
Boy, that's a tough one. Chris, I'm going to go with someone who is aligned to my business. It's more recent, but someone that I've been looking up to as I'm building this company, and that's Nancy Green. She's the CEO of Athleta. And the reason I'm mentioning her is I've been following her a lot. She's obviously a female leader. She's also a role model, and she is very much an advocate for girls and women with empowerment and really providing them with the confidence. But she's also rolled up into that several other key personality aspects. Number one, sustainability. She is very committed to the environment and to making sure we can do everything possible for sustainability, which is very admirable. And number two, she's taking all these elements and rolling them into a very successful brand. Gap is struggling right now, and the shining star within their organization is Athleta. And I think it's because of all the things Nancy brings to the table and her unique blend of all these key focus areas, which really bring it alive and make it special. So I really would enjoy speaking with her and learning more of what she does, how she does it, and what drives her.
Now, just curious, as you're following her, is it via social media or website, or what are the avenues that you've followed or learned more about her?
Oh, we follow her on Instagram. She's on LinkedIn. Any news stories? I just keep up to date with her and follow what she's doing and the the updates that she's making with the organization. So it's through various media.
I asked that question because I was curious, but what I found is that, people have these ideas and concepts, and I think so many people talk about how social media is negative and it's really disruptive. I believe it's all dependent upon what you follow and what you see, and I think talk about this quite often, is whether it's Instagram or Facebook or some of these other outlets, we have the ability to mute people or unfollow them or not see their stories. So if there are people that, you don't want to be on, stop being friends with or not follow to upset them, you can mute them and they don't even know that in some ways. But the reality is that you can follow and connect with so many amazing people, just like Nancy, that are doing amazing things. So I think it's really neat that you're doing that. And obviously staying within the same space in some ways, I think it's important to have other people that you look up to. So I'm glad that you shared that. One of the words that we often talk about in our clothing line, which we have on the back of all of our stuff, the hashtag accountability. I wanted to get your perspective on what the word accountability means to you.
Well, accountability is everything. It's your integrity. It's your word. It's your commitment and responsibility, not only to yourself, but to others. So I really personally believe accountability is the foundation for our lives, both personally and professionally. And it's such a critical aspect. Without it, I just think everything would fall apart. And I would see that as, I just see accountability as such a strong element in business and in your personal life.
No, I love how you touched on both personal and professional, because I think they do go hand in hand, and I think it's impossible to be unbelievably accountable in your personal life, but not in your professional life. And it's pretty hard to be amazingly accountable in your professional life, but have your personal life not be accountable. So I think it's really neat in that regard. I wanted to see if you wouldn't mind if we switch over to what we call our hot seat questions, and the only thing that we ask is that you spit out the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay. All right.
All right. If you could choose absolutely anything for your last meal, what would you choose?
Pizza.
All right. Favorite smell? Favorite smell?
Oh, I love the smell. It's the soaps that I use. I love a really lovely floral beachy scent.
Do you have an all-time favorite quote?
I do. I would say it's, someone said to me years ago, it's not the words you say, it's how you make people feel. And I just feel that's powerful.
It's very powerful. Favorite sport?
Running.
Do you have a favorite team?
Well, I did go to Villanova, so I'm very partial to the basketball team. They've really accomplished some major wins, and it's all, the school's not anything exceptional. It's the people and the team. So I'd say the Villanova Wildcats.
Go Wildcats. All-time favorite movie?
Under the Tuscan Sun. Total chick flick, but I love.
Favorite book?
I like Malcolm Gladwell's Blink.
Great book. And favorite singer, group, or band?
Wow. That's really tough. There's so many. Right now, you're going to laugh. I'm listening to serious yacht rock, and they're just these songs that are a throwback. So, oh my word.
All right, we'll go with that. We'll go with yacht rock.
I'm going to go Jimmy Buffett. I'm going to go Jimmy Buffett. He puts me in a happy mindset. I'm going to go with him.
Can't go wrong with Buffett. And then last question is, if you were stuck in a foxhole, you could have only one person to have your back, who would it be?
My daughter.
So before we let you go, I wanted to ask you again, just to touch on your website, but also if you can give your handles for social media, so any of our listeners that want to not only find out a little bit more about you, but also your product as well.
Well, Chris, we're just about everywhere. So our website again is www.thepurebag.com. We're on Instagram @thepurebag. We're on Facebook, The Pure Bag. We're on LinkedIn, The Pure Bag, and we're on Pinterest, The Pure Bag. So you can find us all there.
I appreciate it. And then last question is, I wanted to ask you, Lori, if you have some parting words you'd like to leave with our listeners.
Yes. Through my experiences, not only prior to this business, which were in pharma, but now as the leader here and owning the Pure Bag and moving forward, it's surround yourself with people who believe in you and who push you to do and be better. That's the key. It takes a tribe. It's not an individual effort.
I love it. It's such powerful advice. And one of the things we often talk about is the actual power of your tribe. And I really appreciate you touching on that. So I truly appreciate you not only sharing your no quit story, but also how you're paying it forward. And I definitely hope that you and I can speak again soon.
Thank you, Chris. It's been a pleasure.
Today's episode is sponsored by the good people over at West Fair Communications, who publish the Westchester County Business Journal and the Fairfield County Business Journal. These newspapers do a wonderful job in covering all aspects of the business world within two of the most influential markets in the New York metropolitan area. You can also take advantage of their daily news feeds, which keep track on the companies and thought leaders in these important regions. For more information, take a look at www.westfaironline.com. Trust me, once you start reading, you won't quit. Thank you for listening to episode number 227. Lori is quite an impressive woman, and something that she repeated during the episode was the idea of paying it forward and helping people, something that clearly resonates with us as well as our no-quit tribe. Lori chose the word optimistic to define her, and she quickly followed that up with the idea that she focuses on what can be as opposed to what can't be. In her parting words, Lori shared her perspective on how and why it is so important to surround yourself with people that believe in you and push you to both be and do better, how it takes a tribe and nobody goes about it alone. So as we conclude today's episode, I would like to share a quote with you by Jim Rohn, a quote that I've shared many different times before. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So my question to you is, who are those 5 people in your life that you spend the most of your time with? Do those 5 people keep you in your comfort zone, status quo? Or maybe do they bring you down, or hold you down, or hold you back? Or hopefully those 5 people inspire you, push you, and challenge you to become your best. So as you go for your greatness today, rise above, push yourself, and spend your time and efforts on and with those people and things that bring out the best in you. And lastly, to our listeners, thank you. We truly appreciate your time, and we hope our episodes inspire you to keep on attacking life and never giving up. To quote Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, it's always too early to quit.